Patreon.com/the Walk-Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there. Trisha the Disha says, "Hey guys,
Love
just
that.
wanted to reach out and say how nice it is you're both back doing the podcast. The guest hosts were great, and Adam was awesome holding down the fort, but you two together is my fave. Welcome back, Scott. For mailbag, if you have room for my question, could you talk Espinal? He's my favorite on the Jays, and I wonder where he's going to get his playing time this season. So, Santiago Espinal, full-time third baseman. Right? We're trading Matt Chapman.
Yeah, this is a really good question because I think it will just work itself out. But I mean, you do look at the list of names, and where does Espinal fit in here? It is an interesting question. Are we going to see him get some time in the outfield? There is a question mark for that fourth outfield spot currently being held. I know Arden Zwelling yesterday was like, he basically said it's safe to say Merrifield and Biggio are who they're planning on kind of holding down that spot in the lineup, that fourth outfield spot. We know that Bad Tacos has been a thorn in both Kiermaier and Springer's craw over the years here, especially the last couple years in particular. Does Espinal slot in and play some left field here and there? Obviously, he's a natural second baseman. He does have a little bit of time at shortstop. I mean, Bo last year, I think, played 159 games, so it's not like there's a ton of off time where he can relieve Bo. Bichette seems to be a guy who likes to be out there playing 100% of the time that he's available. Could he see some time at third base? I think Espinal is going to play far more positions this year, more regularly than last year, where he basically was our everyday second baseman. And I don't think that's going to be the case this year. Where do you see Espinal slotting in, man?
I don't know. I mean, when we talked to Jeff Blair, he had the insight of speaking to Dalton Varsho, who referred to Whit Merrifield as the Blue Jays' second baseman. Now, that could be because he wasn't too familiar with his teammates. Like, how much are we reading into the tea leaves of what the new guy is saying? Was he saying that because he had a meeting and that was something he saw written on the whiteboard behind them? Or was that just because Whit Merrifield is a known commodity in MLB and is a name that Dalton Varsho was probably familiar with? No disrespect to Santiago Espinal.
Yeah.
But Jeff Blair seemed to think that was a real indicator that Whit Merrifield was going to be the de facto second baseman. After talking with Arden's not so sure, and I think this illustrates the fact that none of us fucking know. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. I would say if we look at Raymel Tapia's games played last year as our fourth outfielder.
130 or something, right?
128. Let's just call it 130. There was only 30 games in which we didn't see him used.
The hot 30, I called them.
The hot 30, yeah. The hot 30. Got to give that Tapia a day off every once in a while. Moving Springer to right field, I guess, should mean he plays more, right?
Knocking on wood, yeah.
Kevin Kiermaier, I would say, not likely to be in the lineup for more games than Teoscar Hernandez was, right? Like, I just don't. I guess my point is, last year Tapia got a lot of play, and it wasn't a particularly fragile outfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
This year, the outfield does feel more fragile. I'm hopeful that Springer in right field means he plays 140 games.
One of the big reasons why this organization went out fishing for center fielders is so that they could alleviate some of these injury snafus that Springer found himself in center field.
The only problem is that Kiermaier might miss more games at center field than Springer did last year. Now, from like an offense standpoint, that's a trade you'll make every day, right?
Mhm.
But for a how many games does the fourth outfielder play? Uh, if we set the number at 128, which is where Raymel Tapia played last year,
So, are
over
you
under.
comfortable, Adam? Are you comfortable, Adam, seeing a split of Whit Merrifield and Cavan Biggio in left field for 128 games?
Okay, so this is the question. This is I do think that the fourth outfielder will get more than 128 games. That's my prediction.
Wow.
I think it's more fragile than last year, right? I think that's it. I also think that there are those situations where even where everyone's healthy and Dalton Varsho has a bad matchup against a left-handed pitcher, you know, Whit Merrifield's in, and it's not even a health reason. It's just because of the
Mhm.
matchups are better. Um, Boy, we're sure not talking a lot of Espinal for an Espinal related question. Um,
Yeah.
I I feel like Espinal is probably going to play.
I mean,
Let's say
he's back to our utility guy, right?
he he's back to our utility guy, but I would say home base for him is second. Like
Yeah.
that's his spot. I think he is going to be everyday second baseman. Probably not because like you said, I think he'll spell Chapman at third sometimes. I think he'll maybe 5 games at shortstop this
Yeah.
year, barring like bad tacos. Um, I don't know how I feel about Espinal. Like, oh,
He
he's
feels like the odd man out on this team, in my opinion. And by the way, I say this with the utmost respect to Santiago Espinal and what he did for this team last year. He really stepped in and played a solid second base. He made the All-Star team, especially in the first half of the year. He was a big time contributing member to this lineup when they needed him most.
I've got it. Here's what I think. This is what I think looks like at second base. Whit Merrifield starts the year as our regular second baseman. Not quite our everyday second baseman, but our essentially our second baseman.
4 out of 6 games.
4 out of 6 games. And then I think at a certain point, I don't know when that is on the calendar, he gets pulled to the outfield for the reasons that we just
We
kind of
just
talked ad
mentioned.
nauseum, right? Which, as he gets pulled to the outfield, Espinal is just the guy that fills in at second base. And it might be from May through September because Merrifield is playing so much outfield games that that's where Espinal fills in. Like he's the backup second baseman who plays more second base than our second baseman because our second baseman is playing outfield. Is that makes me uncomfortable to put it like that, but I that makes the most sense to me.
So, where are you at on he turns 28 April 11th on Cavan Biggio? Do you think Cavan Biggio can still contribute to this team, or is this an Espinal Merrifield second base platoon and Cavan is going to be used fairly sparingly? See, this is the other thing, man. Bad tacos in the outfield. Like, how would you feel about Dalton Varsho in center, Biggio in right field, and
And Merrifield and
Merrifield
left, I know.
in left?
I
We are really talking worst case scenarios here. This is not a very positive portion of the episode.
yeah. Thanks for this one, Trisha. Jeez. Um, I mean, I don't like it. I think if that
Yeah.
happens, a trade needs to happen quickly.
Hmm.
But also,
I
if it
mean,
is a
there
short term
are
thing, if it's 1 week and there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I'm fine with it, I guess. I'd
so
rather
here are
that.
the
I
other
don't know.
options. The other options within this organization are Otto Lopez, Addison Barger, Nathan Lukes, and Spencer Horwitz. These are the 4 guys that are at AAA who could possibly come in and contribute to this team. However, oh man, once like it doesn't feel good when you start naming these options
Okay,
to play 130 games.
I will say on Cavan Biggio's behalf, I have more confidence in him for 2023 contributing to this team than any of those guys.
Okay.
I don't want to see Otto Lopez in right field. Like, if Cavan's healthy, he's better than. Does he have the ceiling of Addison Barger? Probably not, but is he better this season? I would say almost absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not against Addison Barger. Like, I'm optimistic on the kid too, but like he doesn't have the high pedigree. Like he just kind of just burst onto the scene, had a great year last year, and now all of a sudden there's talk like, well, is he our next Matt Chapman heir apparent? It's like, whoa,
yeah,
cool the Jets a bit, like.
Well, I think this is what would need to happen to see Barger or Horowitz or something like that happen is they would need to come in and they would need to just dominate. They would need to start strong, alleviate some of the panic about the bad talk some of the regulars are dealing with.
And that step from AAA to the MLB is such a huge
lot of pressure
step
to put on a kid. Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I don't know. Espinal, I would say, is not our April second baseman. But I would say he's probably our May through September second baseman. Is that I know.
Anyways. Let's move away from this little dark cloud we've found ourselves under.
All right. Thanks for the question, Trisha.